So welcome you at this moment. I welcome you today. Allowing yourself to welcome yourself as well. Tuning into the way you're sitting. If you're lying down, the way you're lying down. And allowing for those areas of contact of the body with the chair or the seat. Knowing that however it is that you're here right now, you're welcome here. You're always welcome. Whatever storms might be passing by, you're welcome here. This is a place where we support each other. This is a place where we tune into our own self-love to be able to give it out. Our own compassion to be able to share it with others. So welcome. What's present in the body right now? What are some of the sensations that are here right now? Maybe some are pleasant, maybe some are unpleasant, and some of them might be neutral, like, either pleasant or unpleasant. Really noticing all sensations here, starting at the feet, maybe tingling or numbness, maybe heat or coolness. And now moving up to your ankles. And the legs. Are they in contact with anything? Maybe the sense of the skin and the clothing. And how about the hips? These incredible joints that do so much. And maybe they're not working too well now, and that's okay. We can still maybe appreciate them for everything they've done for us. And the chest, the rib cage, protecting the organs here, the lungs, the heart beating. If you're here, your heart is beating, your lungs are breathing, maybe not perfect, but they are. And the breath continues to move through the body, oxygenating, bringing life to all the cells. How about your back, the upper back, the spine, the lower back? Perhaps there is a unpleasant sensation here, maybe tightness or anything else that might be here. Tension. Acceptance comes from noticing these things. That's all. Noticing them for what they are, whether they're pleasant sensations, unpleasant, Maybe they're just neutral. They're neither. So we're noticing them for what they are, and acceptance comes from that noting, this is unpleasant. This is pleasant. This is neither. It's just neutral. There's not much going on, it seems like. Noticing all sensations in this way and accepting them, and acceptance kind of takes away the resistance. So when we notice resistance to something, we come in and accept it by just noticing it. That's all we have to do. It doesn't mean that we don't do anything about it or take action. It just means that we notice it for what it is, without the narrative, without the story. And in this way, we move to the sensations on the shoulders. Is there any judgment? It's practicing the non-judging mind. And that just means we notice the judgment, becoming aware of it. Taking action when it's needed. If you find tension or tightness anywhere, and the invitation is to see if it can be let go. But if it can't, it's okay. Just allowing it to stay. And now moving up to the back of the neck, the sides, the throat. What's here? How about the palms of your hands? Is there moisture, coolness, heat, tingling, numbness? Maybe nothing at all. Can we accept sometimes that we might just not feel anything? And can we let go of the need to make something happen, make things go our way? So if there is a sensation that you find overwhelming or too much for right now, acceptance doesn't mean that we're torturing ourselves through it, but we're just noticing it. This doesn't feel too good right now. But then we take action. So if you need to shift your pose, if you need to open your eyes at any moment, if you need to give your body a quick stretch and adjust, you can do that, taking care of yourself. How about your arms? What's felt here? Is there anything at the forearms or the elbows, the upper arms? And back to the shoulders again. What's here? Has anything changed? The only constant in our lives is change. That's the only thing that is constant. The sooner we learn that, the better and easier life will be. Even the worst moments pass. Even our suffering dissipates with joy. How about the face? They say that the human body is the biggest representation of the inner being. What is your permanent gesture? Is there a masking smile for something more? Is there a frown for confusion? This is what guides us, tuning into the body and noticing what rises here in this moment as I encounter experience. How about the back of the head, the sides, the ears, always attentive to hear? They might not hear perfectly, but they're always trying. The body's always doing its best for us. It's always here. So whenever you're ready, taking in a deep breath, deep in breath and longer exhale than the in breath. And one more time, taking in a deep breath, really following that breath, following the beginning, middle, and end of the in breath, and then the out breath. Allowing the breath to just settle here in this moment. Pausing. If there's any tightness or tension, can you accept it by just noticing it and invite it to maybe soften, softening around our tightness or tension? What's here? It's just an indicator for something else. The body contracts with our thoughts, emotions. It's a way of protecting. The heart closes. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do at this moment but just being here. Allowing the body to breathe at its own rhythm. Settling the attention here. The cycle of the breath. If you notice tightness anywhere, seeing if you can just become curious about it. What does this tightness feels like? What is the sensation like? Kind curiosity. And from this place of stillness, can we bring an aspect of investigation? What is the belief I'm holding about this moment? Maybe it is, oh, this meditation is going to bring me peace. Or I'm becoming better at this. Or maybe I'm not happy about what happened just 5 minutes ago. What is it? Just becoming aware of it, noticing the story around it. And perhaps what is the belief that you have about mindfulness? Is it a destination? Is it a way to cope with difficulties only? That only in difficult moments I would tune into what's happening? How identified are you with your beliefs, your perception of the moment by moment, your ideas? The ideas that the mind creates are not even yours. And can I invite you to investigate some of these things, some of these ideas, some of these core beliefs about life, about the world, about yourself? In a good ways, every time you notice tension, paying attention. What is in the mind right now? What is in the heart? What is the body trying to tell me? What is this tightness saying to me? So in Christianity, there is a quote that says that your body is a temple of God. And I understand it as it is in the body that we have the opportunity to grow, to find ourselves. So to guide us to that happiness and peaceful sense of being. So the more we inhabit the body, the more awareness we can have, the more we know about ourselves. How is your heart right now? Is it a blooming rose? Or is it still closed like a little bud, waiting to open? So I believe that happiness is our natural state. And that yet for some reason we stray from this state of being. What happens? Well, we find ourselves lacking this happiness. I also believe that we're happier when we can see things with clarity. And so mindfulness allows the clarity. Clarity much needed when the habitual mind is reinforcing habits that don't serve us. The same habits of the mind probably served us at some point. And if we pay attention to them, maybe we'll learn that now they're causing us pain. So some quote the Buddha saying, "We are what we think. And all that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world." But would it be fair to also say that the world created those thoughts? As children, we see the world with clarity. But as we grow up, we start to give meaning to all around us. And these meanings become beliefs. And these beliefs drive our lives. And they get so ingrained in us that we might even lose friendships over them. We might sacrifice people we love over them. So I spent my childhood in the rainforest of Peru. That's where I grew up. And I think I lived there from age 2 to 9, roughly. And I remember being very small and being quite mesmerized by insects. Living in the rainforest, there's a lot of bugs. But I loved the little colors and their wings and how some flew and some crawled in the earth. And I could spend a long time just watching them, being completely mesmerized by them. I remember this is back, in the late 70s when there was really a remote area of Peru in the rainforest. There was no electricity really. So this is my entertainment, to be in nature. But one day I was sitting there watching this small little fuzzy bug. Not sure what it was. And I went and reached out for it. It looked fuzzy and cute, like a little teddy bear, tiny. And my grandmother came from behind and grabbed my hand before I even reached it. And she said, "It will hurt you if you touch it." And it really ended up being one of the cutest and most dangerous insects in the Amazon. I don't recall what it's called and really doesn't matter right now. But it sends this fuzz and it can make you very sick and even kill you. So from that day on, I became terrorized by insects. No matter where I went, I no longer trusted my own instinct to be safe around them. So this, as I grew up, became a big issue for me. I made meaning to that all insects were dangerous and that they were all going to hurt me. And so as I grew up, this became part of my habitual thinking. This belief became very ingrained in me, to the point that every time I went home to visit my family, because I moved to the States, but every time I would go home, I would be terrorized, so scared of all the little bugs. So in my mind, I created this belief. My grandmother was trying to protect me, but I took it as, oh my gosh, I could have died. And so as a child, I internalized that belief. So there's sometimes a slight chance that our child interpretation may be a bit immature, right? As children, we generalize things. And this is where I go with the beliefs and the perception that we have about things. My idea was that all bugs were dangerous. So I had to realize eventually that this was a belief that was getting on the way of my life. It was taking away from the happiness with my family every time I went home. I was so concerned about the bugs that I couldn't enjoy my time. Whatever I was, if I was sitting and my clothing would rub against my skin, I would jump up in fear. Oh my God, a bug. I would just go out running out the door. And in my mind was creating all these things. My mind was creating scenarios that weren't real. And I started realizing that this core belief that I had was affecting the quality of my life. And so whether it's a bug or something else, it's really important to really understand where is this coming from, right? So for me, it was, I had to open up to this and realize that, the more I tuned into this fear, the more I understood where it's coming from. And it took a while for me to put it together. I didn't know, when did I become this fearful of bugs? But then I decided to take it up on myself. My mindfulness practice guided me to be aware every time I felt this fear. I could tune into my heart and it will be beating like crazy, and my breath will be out of control, and my body will be tight. And I could feel this fear in every cell in my body saying, like, you gotta save yourself. This thing is gonna kill you. And it could be a ladybug. Irrational, right? So the more I realized this, the more I decided that I needed to open my understanding. I needed to learn. So I started learning more about these bugs so I could feel safe around them. I got curious about them. I got curious. I started being, every time I would go home, I would encounter a bug. And again, I brought in my childlike curiosity once again. And I started realizing some were safe, some not so safe. Some might bite me, but won't kill me. And I can live with a bite, right? And so this idea of perception is very important. How do we perceive things? How do we perceive the moment? And perception goes to what is the meaning that we're giving to things? What is our interpretation, right? So every time, my invitation would be that every time you encounter a situation or a person or anything else in your life, as they speak, as they say something, or as you're encountered by this difficulty in life, notice what the triggers in you. Because chances are that's more about us than about the bugs. Like for me, it had nothing to do with a poor little bug just trying to crawl away and survive, right? It had all to do with me. And what was my reaction? Oh my God, somebody killed this bug, get him out of here. I couldn't even have compassion to this little thing that was just trying probably to, find the light and fly away. And we react the same way, don't we, with people? We just put this thing, we get angry. At the moment, we get angry at people that don't agree with us. So in this time that we're just pausing with these attitudes that we've learned so far, perception is going to guide you in all different ways. And so this is when mindfulness becomes key, to really be aware of how you feel at the moment. What is triggering for you? And every time you notice, well, she makes me feel sad. I can't take this person. Her comments just really trigger me. Every time you notice these things, know that every time it's that something is about someone else, is something about you. And this is the non-judging idea again, right? We judge others based on how we feel. And so that understanding can be really helpful in finding that clarity, in navigating life with ease and finding our happiness again. Because the more we notice these things, the more we kind of clear up all these little fires that pop up here and there. And so as we do this, really taking this, even this journey, this mindfulness journey into awareness, right? Being aware of things, we create compassion. And of course, in my example, I can't say that I blamed myself, right? Even at times, yeah, we'll get so mad. Why am I so fearful? This is getting on the way. But then I realized that I was only 5. or 6. I mean, what did I know, right? Right. I mean, I just interpreted the way that, okay, that's how we interpret the world. What's safe? What's not safe? Where am I okay? And so eventually all this plays a role in our life. And so for everything that we're doing, perception is going to be key. As we practice the foundations, as we move on after this month that we're pausing from the foundations to just practice them. How am I navigating these foundations? And when do I find that I hit a wall? What's my perception right now? Because that's what happens. When our perception is misguided, we are hitting a wall. And we're not saying that perception is wrong. My perception at that moment that that was dangerous was absolutely right. But I generalized it as a child, that everybody. So that's what we want to be careful with. When I see somebody and I feel this, I don't know about this person. What is this person triggering about me? What is my belief? That's what's important. So we can navigate things with care and clarity, and then, of course, take action. Taking action. There's some people that are not well intentioned. There's some situations are really dangerous, but now we can have discernment finally. Remember discernment? Being able to discern between what's living in our minds. Don't believe all your thoughts, says John Kabat-Zinn. Don't believe all your thoughts. So discernment now, going, okay, this is something that I believe. And so also Rumi says, right, it is not what you see, but how you see it. It is not what you hear, but how you hear it. This is perception. And this is what creates our lives. Because now if I heard something and I gave it an interpretation, now I'm unhappy. If I saw something and I gave it an interpretation that didn't come from clarity, then now I'm unhappy. So what are some regular guidelines, right? So some regular guidelines in society will be, of course, moral standards, right? I mean, of course, if somebody's hurting somebody else purposely, perpetrating a crime, well, that's morality, right? That then will be going a little bit into right in clarity right there. That's not in us. We're actually saying, well, this is not beneficial to humanity, right? So there's the acts that really have our guidelines, our values. Coming back to that is really important, and living by those, right? And so, but with mindfulness, all we're doing is just noticing what's here. What does this mean for me? And how much of this is true? Am I 100% sure that this is the truth, that what I'm believing is true? Somebody called and left me a message and their tone was off, maybe, right? Let's say that example. And now I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, she's mad at me or he's mad at me. Am I 100% sure of that? So this is when discernment comes into play, okay? And of course, we're going to continue practicing this. We have the entire rest of October, so we'll continue to talk a little more about this. But for now, that is what we're exploring. And so let's just close our formal practice by just being together here again and tuning into your breathing and seeing how all this lands with you. Maybe there's a lot of thinking and confusion and the heart racing, and that's okay. That's all right. Can we just welcome whatever is here? This is just something to consider. Most of the time, if we look into our own confusion, we can find our own answers. Where's that confusion coming from? What's happening? What's behind it, right? Or this makes total sense, maybe. Just noticing what's here for you right now. And I want to thank you for sitting with us and for being here.